Tottenham Hotspur won, Newcastle United won. And if I'm entirely honest, it was I thought, a decent game of football. I think there was a lot of takeaways that we could learn. I think Newcastle United could learn. I think there was a lot of things going on in that game that should be epicenter of our thoughts. But unfortunately, that's not the case. For me, right now, this video is about one message, one mission, and one primary takeaway only. And that is a reprioritization of Tottenham Hotspur's transfer window for the next 4 weeks. Nothing else matters right now apart from fixing our forward line. All bets are off. I put a video out late last night talking about what could it mean if it's true what Duncan Castles said, that Tottenham had a 70 million euro bid accepted for Ilya Zabarnyi. What does that mean? Does it mean that Romero's maybe staying for one more year but won't sign a new contract, and so we're kind of front running and succession planning for him? Does it mean that Tottenham are looking at the back line where we know that we need somebody to come in and play who's better at left-sided centre-back / left-back versatile role in a dry market that doesn't offer too many options, and Tottenham are thinking, well, maybe we'll shoehorn Danzo out there, who's done a relatively good job in the pre-season thus far, and maybe the wet market is on the right side, and you can go and get someone like a Gerstruida, you can go and get someone like an Araujo from Barcelona, go and get someone like a Leone, like a Lukumi, like a whoever, insert whatever the F defender you want, a Scalvini, a Tap Sober that can be doesn't matter anymore. It doesn't matter anymore. James Maddison has gone down again. I think he managed 10 minutes against Arsenal. I don't know how many minutes he managed today. Not enough. And I'm not sure whether it was a no-contact injury. I thought at the time that he put his foot out to try to intercept a long ball from the right back. Was it Trippier? Was he still on the pitch? I forget. I'm not sure. I didn't see the replay perfectly. People are telling me it was no contact. Either way, whatever. That's just all or nothingness. He's gone. He's done. The same knee is done. He's out for months. Decky out until spring. Tottenham Hotspur have to reprioritise all of that money that was possibly and probably still available. Forget about eights, forget about centre-backs, forget about left-backs for the moment, forget about anything else. The number one priority for Tottenham Hotspur right now, and the number two priority for Tottenham Hotspur right now, and arguably the number three priority for Tottenham Hotspur right now, are figuring out the forward line. No ifs, no buts, no maybes. Paqueta, if you can get him, all right, maybe that's a kill two birds with one stone method where you can play him in the 10, but he can also drop into the 8 later on. Maybe. We need a left winger. We need a 10, and we need a forward, a number 9. 100%. That's all that matters to me right now. I'll roll the dice. I know that money doesn't grow on trees. I know that a budget is a budget, and I know that we've got cop blocks left and right and centre in certain areas of our pitch. The trouble is, guys, is that as these men are falling one by one, you can't move them on even if you wanted to. There were links out and rumours out a couple of days ago that James Maddison might be leaving the club this summer anyway to make room for one of the players that we were hopefully thinking about bringing in. Well, kiss that story goodbye. You can't pass the medical if you've just broken down for the second time. Decky can't go anywhere. He's out until February, March, with a horrendous knee injury. Solomon? Remember him? The guy that came to Tottenham 2 years ago? Or was it 3? I forget. It feels like forever ago. Played 4 or 5 games for us, maybe 6. Breaks down, spends the rest of his season on the injury bed. Goes to Leeds, magically makes a full recovery, puts in a worldie in their championship-winning performance. Leaves Leeds, comes back to Tottenham. Leeds want to re-sign him. What happens the second he gets back? He gets injured. I don't know for how long. We haven't seen him. I haven't heard the details. But you can't sell a man who's injured. Well, it's very difficult to do so. Dominic Solanke, injured. Richalison, no disrespect to the big guy. You know how I feel. Sonny, about to leave tonight to LA. Didn't get on the team bus. He went home in a personal car after the game. Sad about him. Very sad to say goodbye, but also I think it's the best thing. But unfortunately, time waits for no man and stories wait for no man either. As much as I'd love to sit here and talk about how wonderful Sonny has been for Tottenham, I feel like I've done that in a previous video, and I'm sure I'll find time to do that in a future video. But right now, my focus is on shitting the bed, because Tottenham Hotspur need to reallocate, reprioritize, and reorganize their entire transfer strategy tonight. If we had allocations for a Mark Gahey in January that was going to get siphoned away for the majority of that towards a Zabani, forget it. Forget it. Unless we've got an endless bottomless pit of money, forget it. Right now, we need a 10, a left winger, and a striker. And if you're going to get ones that move the needle, that are, not even move the needle, can just replace the likes of Maddison and Decky and their value as a 10, that can replace the superstar that was Sonny at his prime, and ultimately can do a better job at trying to get the numbers back to where we were before we signed Solanke and Richarlison under Harry Kane days, we're talking monster money. Monster money. 50, 60 million quid on a 10. 50, 60, 70 million quid on a 7. And a striker is the most expensive place in the pitch, right? So I don't think Tottenham have got 200. Maybe we do. Maybe we do. Maybe there's the truth to this idea that we've signed this $500 million, 20-year, £25 million a season naming rights deal with Neom or Saudi Ramco or whoever it is. And maybe, hopefully, fingers crossed, everything crossed, that there is some truth to the notion that the vast majority of that is going to get paid up front. And even if that all of that dream world scenario is true, even if you're then sort of placing a tiny bit of reality check that not all of that money can go into the transfer budget, and that maybe half of it's going to get siphoned off to pay for a hotel and pay for Chick King to be turned into a, I don't know, whatever, then if we have 200 million quid left to spend, it all has to go in that direction. It really does. It really, really does. Right now, guys, it's the priority. Forget Anthony Robinson. As much as I'd love him, as much as I would absolutely love to see Anthony Robinson or a Lucas Hernandez, or as I say, a Leone or a Scalvini, all of that defensive line, I think we can make do given what's just happened. When things hit you in the face in life, you have to react, you have to adapt, you have to pivot, and you have to go again. And to me, this is one of those moments. I would love to be sitting here talking to you about how I thought Archie Gray was sensational today, because I really did think he was great. I think Archie Gray had his best performance in a midfield role, probably, in fact, his best performance in a Tottenham shirt. And I was incredibly surprised and incredibly happy to see it. Against Newcastle United's bullying midfield. Joe Linton elbowing the geezer in the nose. He's a bully. He's a big fella, and he throws his weight around, and he never, ever, ever gets called out for it. He never gets caught up by the referee. He's a disgrace. He did it to Berghvall at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in the league last year. I despise him as much as I admire his football. And I'm sure he'd be someone that if he was on my team, I'd absolutely love it. But as he isn't, and as he goes after the weakest, the smallest, the youngest guys in my team, F you, and I'll come in for you later. But today's not the day. As much as I'd love to sit here and tell you that, you know, Mathys Tel, I thought he had a good game apart from his clanger. Yeah, absolute clanger. He did clang it out. It was terrible. As much as I'd love to sit here and tell you that Jed Spence, once again, a tick. As much as I'd love to sit here and say, I thought our midfield was really good. Bentancur had a really good shift. You know, I think that there was efforts from Berghvall in the 10. I thought Pape Sarr was good again. I think that there's lots of positives to take away from today. But do you know what? Right now, I don't care about any of that, because none of that matters if we don't get our forward line fixed. Unfortunately, Mathys Tel can't play in the 9. I'm so sad that he didn't slot that away. He didn't even look like he was confident at all, did he? He looked like a guy that's a little bit bereft. He's 19. I know you guys are going to say you stand up for Mathys Tel when you go after Richie, whatever. It's all good. We can deal with that later. Guys, we need a 9 and we need one pronto. We need a 10 and we need one pronto. And we need a left winger and we need one pronto. We really do. And I know that 3 players is probably too much for us to ask for. It shouldn't be, but it probably is, knowing what we're working with generally. So how about we go and get some hybrids, right? How about we go and get either a 10/left winger? Xavi Simons, hello. Chelsea are currently cop blocking themselves because RB Leipzig has said, we don't want your cast-offs. We don't want the players you're offering. We want 60 million euros, 55 million pound, most of it up front. We don't want Chelsea's second-tier players that they don't want anymore. And fair play to Leipzig. So a little opportunity there, a door opening. Look, I'm not sure about whether the players want to come or not. You can make the same argument for Kolo Muani, right? Juventus. Well, Daniel Comoli said he wants to come to us. There's no rush. In the Times, the Telegraph, the Express, the Mail, and the Sun this morning, all on Sunday, all of them saying that Tottenham are in for Kolo Muani. I know Ali Gold says it's not true. I know that previously Romano said it's not true, but all of those five newspapers this morning are saying that it is. Either way, Comodi says there's no rush for Juventus, but as soon as that story comes out, all of a sudden Juventus have sold Timothy Weah to Marseille to expedite the process. They've still got another domino to fall before they can really close on it. Tottenham Hotspur need to act now. I think this might be, as horrible as it is to say, a blessing in disguise, because sometimes you have paralysis through analysis. Sometimes Tottenham Hotspur, or anyone in life, in just generally, you've got a few things you need to do and you can't focus on any of them because this is important, but so is this. So what do? Oh, I end up doing nothing. Procrastination. And I think Tottenham are guilty of that. Tottenham are probably concerned, should we go and find the succession plan for Romero if that's the story with Zabani, etc.? Should we go and pay big money for a Robinson who, getting on a little bit, but whatever, all that stuff? No, forget all of that. Right now, forget it. Forget it. Up here, top end of the pitch, we need someone in the 9, in the 7, and in the 10. And if you happen to be able to go and convince a Paqueta who can do the 8 and the 10 role like Morgan Gibbs-White can, great. If you can go and get an Eberechi Eze, who, by the way, all of a sudden, 68, 70 million, whatever it is, I don't care if it's 75. I don't even care if it's 80. This guy is the answer. He's the answer. And I don't believe for a second that if Tottenham Hotspur was absolutely serious, picked up the phone, made an offer that Crystal Palace were happy with. Apparently, the release clause is still not expired. It's still apparently available. I don't believe for a second that he would turn us down, or at least be like, no, I've made my mind up. I want to go to Arsenal. I just think we haven't put the effort in because we're cop blocking ourselves by thinking about too many things at the same time. Something like what happens today to James Maddison, it shows you exactly how crazy weak we are at the top end of the pitch with this horrendous injury crisis that won't go away. These are long-term knee injuries to two key pivotal players. We need a monster in there. And Eze can sit in on the 10 for now and then play on the left wing when one of those guys get back. But they'll be out for months. Or you go and get the Paqueta for 45 who can do the 8-10 role, and then you go massive for the left wing. And I'm sorry, guys, but with Sonny's absence, I know you're all going to sit there and say you're dreaming, Sean. It's dream well. Tottenham has got no chance of signing a Leao, no chance of signing a Rodrigo. It's how you sell the story. It's how you sell the project. And it's how you pay the man. And Tottenham Hotspur's wage to turnover ratio is about to drop to all-time ridiculously low levels because our revenue is going to fly this year with Champions League and the additional money from non-match day events and the TV rights and the sponsorships and all of that stuff. And at the same time, our revenue has just dropped our wages have just dropped by another 200 grand a week in Sonny's absence. We're about to get 15 million pound in from Sonny's sale as well. Guys, no excuse. There is no excuse. I know if you watch this, you know that I'm sitting here. Generally, I'll sort of defend areas of the conversation that maybe most of you don't want to talk about because, first of all, I like debate. Second of all, I think that there's context and the world is always working in a shade of grey. But for me right now, there is no excuse. Tottenham Hotspur's revenue is doing this. Our wage bill is doing that. There is room for a monster. There is room for a new club's highest earner, a new transfer record fee, and it has to go in the area of the pitch that's meaningful. Whether that's Eze, whether that's a Leao, a Rodrigo, someone like that, whether it's someone like a Xavi Simons, whether it's two of those three, whether it's a Callum Owendo, who's a little bit lower profile, but still something that's going to be a little bit different, a little bit feisty, can play across the front three. How about an Evan Gassan? By the way, other teams are percolating, right? Wissa is going to go. Wissa maybe to Tottenham, but 50 million for a 30-year-old needs must. Still think there's better options out there that are younger that are going to be a little bit more sort of more worthwhile. But I'm okay with it. If you're okay with it, let me know your thoughts either way. But if Wissa goes to Newcastle, that's only because Brentford have found their guy. Brentford are about to go and get Leandro Trossard. I'm not saying we should go and get that, but I'm saying that suddenly Brentford are in a bit of a healthier place. They might make the move. They might go and get an Evan Gassan or a Callum Owendo, all the players that they're linked with. Things are happening elsewhere. Tottenham Hotspur, and it's the front end of the pitch. The front end of the pitch is the most vital. And as I said at the start of this, guys, it's one of those moments where, for me, it could be a blessing in disguise in that it reprioritizes and refocuses. That's my message. If anyone from Tottenham Hotspur is watching this, for the love of God, figure it out. Now is not the time to be spraying and playing. Focus on the top end. Get ourselves a 10. Get ourselves a left winger and get ourselves a 9. And if that has to be in 2 players that can do a little bit of it all, fair enough, so be it. But there's so many options out there. There has never been a market like this before, where the amount of demand for top players is matched or oversaturated by the amount of supply for players that haven't yet found new homes. We've got 4 weeks to go. Today should have been a day to celebrate Sonny and his last game in his shirt, and I will talk about that tomorrow. I will talk about that when I'm calming down. But right now, guys, I'm slightly panicked by what's happened, and I really, really, really hope that you subscribe to the same notion that I do, that Tottenham Hotspur absolutely need to forget about things like 8s and left backs and centre backs and any of the other stuff that's kind of secondary in importance. We can make do if we have to with what we have. It's not perfect, but we can make do. The front end is not good enough, and it's just taken a hammer blow today with James Maddison going down again. And with Solomon out injured, you can't sell. With James Maddison injured, you can't sell. With Decky injured, you can't sell. With Solanke, he's not going to go anyway. I don't know what his damage, what his situation is like. Mathys Tel, Brennan Johnson, Richalison, and Udogie are not going to be enough to get us through. We've got the Super Cup in 2 weeks. Not even. The Premier League starts a few days after that. This is a ticking time bomb. It's time to prioritize. It's time to focus. I forgot to ask you guys to smash the like button, smash the subscribe, and hit the notification bell. I really hope that tomorrow morning there is nothing but a barrage of transfer links regarding strikers that are out there. Why not dare to do? Daniel Levy, Vinay, you co-signed a video with Vinay's very first engagement with the club, his very first visual and visceral representation, co-signing ambitions that we haven't heard or seen before. It's time to put the money where the mouth is. I'm delighted with Polinia. I'm delighted with Kudus. We need 2 more at the top end of the pitch before anything else is even worried about. Outgoing's fine. Do what you can. But incomings have to be good. They have to be big. They have to be fast. And I'll talk to you about the game tomorrow. Let me know your thoughts. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.